Party with your host, Dustin Rybka.
Hello and welcome to Sex Party. I'm your host, Dustin Rybka. With me on the show this week is Emily Wade. Emily is a stand-up comedian. She is the co-host of the Two Girls, One Blunt podcast. Emily is also an OnlyFans creator. She's hilarious. She's fun. This episode is light and airy and also dark and heavy. We're all over the place in a really great, amazing way. We talk about serial killers. We talk about having sex on drugs. We talk about what she's doing on OnlyFans. Her podcast, of course. I do want to give a bit of a trigger warning towards the end of the episode in the 50-minute or so mark. There is some talk about suicide and self-harm. At the very end of the episode, Emily tells a crazy sex story. You guys are going to love this one. So without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with Emily Wade.
This week's conversation.
Emily Wade, welcome to Sex Party. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. You know those days where everything just like goes to shit? And yep, that's one of those days, but I'm so happy to be here.
I don't know if that's like a complimentary thing or really. I mean, you know what? We will try to make that better while you're here on the show.
No, you're going to cheer me up. I'm so excited to laugh with you and have a great time.
Yeah, I am too. For the people who have no idea what's going on, which I know they watch the intros, but I feel like maybe they zone out, maybe they're flipping through TikTok. So let's say everybody has no clue what's going on. Can you talk a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. My name's Emily Wade. I like long walks on the beach, sunset picnics. I'm a stand-up comedian. I do OnlyFans. I co-host the stand-up comedy podcast called Two Girls, One Blunt. And yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, no, so much to get to. Long walks on the beach. The last time I had a long walk on the beach, actually it was here in Chicago. And it was one of those situations where we weren't sure if someone was drowning or not. It's a lot. Yeah, I don't know. It could have just been like something bobbing up and down in the water. I don't know. And apparently here in Chicago, there's like this smiley face serial killer that's been going around all summer long.
What?
Yeah, people are missing, and it's a whole thing. And that's the thing is like
Sorry.
They find the bodies in the lake. So I live right by the lake. We walk along the lake, like in the city. I saw this thing, like kind of. I was like, was that? Are we sure? Should we call someone or
do they have smiley faces? Like, are they mutilated? What happens?
So they find the bodies and like within, I don't know, a certain amount of like square footage, there's always a smiley face of some kind, like whether it's like drawn in blood or like graffiti or whatever. Right. Yeah.
What the
it's
fuck?
a whole thing. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Smiley face.
I'm from
killers.
Boston.
Okay.
And we also have a serial killer. I feel like Boston's had a bunch, but the one that's happening right now is, I think it's the Charles River killer. And he kills men. They're assuming it's a guy, but he's never been caught. And it's like once a year and it keeps happening. It's been going on for like a decade. And it's crazy. And I can't believe they haven't caught him yet, because they caught the Craigslist killer who was in Boston real quick.
Well, that's weird because that seems like a similar, if not same MO. It's only men here in Chicago. They are found in water. The cause of death is either clearly like drowning or unknown, but it's only dudes. There's never like stabbing or like whatever. So, and they think that it potentially it could be like a cult of killers, so the smiley face killers. So now we're like in Scream movie territory, right?
Holy
right?
shit.
So like it's like a thing, and I know there's like these two retired detectives that are like
sounds like the plot of a movie.
No, I mean, it is, and everyone's like, well, there has to be some sexual component to it. You should cover it on the show, and I'm like, well, I think that'd be great for ratings. I'm not sure I want to make myself a target because I am a straight white dude who fits the demographic of the people they kill. And so but it could be interesting,
Wow, here's the one time it's bad to be a straight white male.
Yeah, right? Yeah, the one time in the one place.
Damn it, that white privilege isn't going to get you through this.
We deserve it. Kill us all. Okay, well, with that on record, we both have serial killers in our respective home cities. Yeah. So
and I'm in Miami.
Okay. Yeah, and
so there have to be serial killers here.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the home of Dexter, right? So how could there not be? I feel like he was hunting serial killers like every week, so there's a lot. Did anybody ever figure that out? Like, wow, there's a lot of serial killers in Miami. What the fuck?
It's all the cocaine. It's all the cocaine, dude.
Yeah, the cocaine. I think Ron Desantis might be a serial killer, actually.
I could 100% see that. The fucking stunt he pulled going to Martha's Vineyard, absolutely insane with all those people. It's horrific.
Wait, what did he do? Bring us up to speed.
There was like a plane full of people coming, I want to say like from Cuba, Colombia, and he literally wouldn't let them into Florida, and he flew them to Martha's Vineyard, which is like this little island off the coast of Massachusetts in the middle of winter. So these are people who don't have like winter clothes, and just drop them off on a random fucking island in Massachusetts. He was like, we don't want immigrants here in Florida. We'll send them to Boston.
Yeah, I think that he is, I think he's like, taking it too far in terms of like, how there's a gauge, right? It's like I guess we'll call it like the Trumpy gauge. And at a certain point, you like go past Trump and become just like this animated clown that's like doing things, you know what I mean? Like just for attention. And so I feel like we've already entered that, and we're not even really into any sort of major debates or races or anything. But like I keep seeing, but I feel like he would be a great serial killer because he's got like the coverage, right? He's moving around. He can just like, say, oh no, I was busy doing a speech. I don't know why those 3 women were mutilated and beheaded or whatever. So I'm going to go on record and say that's a perfect cover.
I completely agree. I think if Ron DeSantis were to be a serial killer, he would kill men that he's attracted to.
Yes. Yeah.
I think he's gay.
Well, and they would also probably look like Simpsons characters, because I feel like he looks like it's like the mayor or someone from the Simpsons or something. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but there's like
but there's something there.
There's like a Simpsons connection. Like maybe he's like drawing those like dirty Simpsons cartoons like in a notebook or something, and then just like, oh, now I have to kill everybody who looks like Bart Simpson.
Listen, I think we've all been at that stage in our lives where we want to kill somebody who looks like Bart Simpson.
Yeah, for me it was the other day, but they were far too tall. Wow, we have really the first 10 minutes of this thing is just
we're getting real dark with it. Yeah. I'm sorry that I continued on that train of thought.
No, I'm fully to blame too. So on your podcast, are things getting this dark this soon? Tell me about your podcast and like kind of the basis of it. We talked a little bit offline about you guys are getting ready to celebrate a couple of years. I mean, 3 years?
Yes.
2 years?
Almost 3 years in April. So 2.5 years so far. It's been a wild run. So my roommate, my best friend, Jamie Lee Simmons, she's a stand-up comedian. She had a podcast. We met during the first week of shutdown in Boston on Facebook Marketplace. We both needed roommates.
You can look for roommates on Facebook Marketplace?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Listen, I got a connection. If you ever need a roommate, I got you.
That's amazing.
So we met. Boston got shut down really hard. We were stuck inside. Long story short, she was like, yo, we should start a podcast. And I was like, let's do it. And we started a podcast for 2021, and we've been chugging along ever since. So it's a stand-up comedy podcast, but we do get deep. Like, we'll have talks with people where we discuss sobriety or mental health. We talk a lot about like childhood trauma. So it does kind of get dark. Sometimes we do talk about murderers, but then we'll also have great episodes where it's just like laugh after laugh after laugh. We'll talk about, like, we did a whole segment on sex acts off Urban Dictionary. So like the Nigerian hurricane is a sex act. Oh no, my light went out. That's so sad. And so we run the gamut of doing a bunch of different stuff, and it's a lot of fun.
Okay, so can you tell me what the Nigerian hurricane is? Like what kind of sex act this is? Because this is perfect. This is great.
I think I have to look it up.
Okay, yeah. Well, while you're looking it up, right? So the premise of the show, though, like Two Girls, One Blunt, right? So it's a riff on Two Girls, One Cup, as we all fucking children of the internet know. So is there a healthy... Spoiler alert, I know the answer to this already, but the audience does not. So we're filling them in, right? Is there a healthy dose of weed, of vape pens, marijuana? Like, how much of that is fueling the conversation on the show?
We get very high pretty much every single episode. Sometimes we get high and drunk, so we have a good time. There's definitely substances involved. We did a whole episode on shrooms once. So, we just have fun. Definitely lots of weed.
Yeah.
And we're legal in Florida. So
yeah,
don't come for us, FBI.
I mean, I think if they're coming to my apartment because I talk shit about Ron Desantis. But I'm safe because I live in Chicago. So he'll never make it. Okay. Yeah. So there's a healthy dose of substance, weed, shrooms, booze. Love that. Are you guys getting fucked up during, before, both? Well,
both.
Whenever. It doesn't. Yeah.
Just all throughout.
Breakfast, lunch,
sometimes
and dinner.
I don't think we've ever done an episode sober.
Yeah. No, I think that's pretty cool.
Which that doesn't sound good, like saying out loud.
Yeah, but we're entertainers in this genre. Yeah. So like, how much more entertaining does it get than that? I've never
really. I mean, dude, if I was doing fucking acid, I don't think I would be very entertaining. So at least I'm sticking with the weed.
For sure. See, my thing is weed is my kryptonite. I have never talked about this on the show, but anybody who knows me personally, like, I'm such an alcohol dude. I'm getting ready to do shrooms coming up with my girlfriend at some point. I mean,
oh shit!
I've tried shrooms before, and I actually saw music like coming out of it was the radio, and then I was at a party, and like Britney Spears was pink. It was like pink music coming out of the radio, and then somebody put on like Corn or something, and it was like purple and green. You know what I mean?
That's so cool.
Super cool, right? So
I've never seen that.
So I've had that experience with shrooms back in like college days, and then I had another experience with shrooms like on my birthday, like 5-6 years ago, where I ate a whole bag of shrooms and like nothing happened. But it might have been because I also did cocaine and drank like a case of vodka. So I don't. So maybe they counteracted each other or something. But I didn't see anything fun. Yeah.
When I take shrooms and I take like 4 grams, the first time I took shrooms, I took 4 grams. I was in the movie Avatar.
Oh, wow.
I was an Avatar. It was fucking sick. And then I would sit up and I'd be like, I'm back. And my friend was like, where'd you go?
So was it a good experience though?
It was a great experience. Okay. It was very beautiful. I like to microdose shrooms, like, and go out and party and not drink, because then I'm just like happy and in a good mood. I'm dancing. It's a lot of fun. Sometimes I get very introspective on shrooms and I can spiral easily, but I think learning how to ground yourself when you're taking shrooms and being able to like practice your deep breathing or reparent yourself in your head and be like, no, these thoughts are not yours. You're okay. You're safe. And that's a skill that's taken a lot of therapy. for me to gain.
No, I think that's a great skill though. And I wish I had that skill with weed because I always want to enjoy, but I just like, I already have so much fucking anxiety and I'm already imagining like Russian dudes coming down the hallway with cleavers and shit at night, so I don't really need.
He has to be Russian.
I don't know, sometimes it's just like an American SWAT team and other times it's like a bunch of Russian dudes with like rings, like we're gonna get this guy, right? And I'm like, oh fuck.
I mean, if I smoked weed and I felt like that, I wouldn't smoke weed. So I totally get it.
And I've tried, and you have those friends that are like, well, it's just the wrong strain. You need a fucking, and like we went to the dispensary here numerous times in Chicago because we're legal too, and they're like, yeah, try this whatever for sleep, and it just made me fucking paranoid while I'm trying to sleep. So like. Come on, right?
You're like, the sleep demons are coming after me.
Yeah, the Russian sleep demons. Yeah, I just need whatever they were giving Michael Jackson to sleep, I think.
I think I've actually been on that. Let me tell you, it was not a good time.
Well, did it help you sleep though?
Oh, it sure did. I also had night terrors and would wake up and I'd be like a zombie the next day. So groggy. I was miserable. And I was like 14 being medicated like this.
Right. Yeah. Not good.
Not good.
No. What do you think? So shrooms, weed, booze, what's the best to like to have sex on, do you think? Like, or at least like be intimate with someone? Because this is a weird question and I feel like I get weird answers and I love it. So I can't wait to get yours.
Like, I'm ready for the weird shit.
Yeah.
I think crossfaded is like ideal sex. You're like a little high. You're a little bit tipsy and it's just like, oh, okay, everything feels great and I'm so happy to be here. So I think crossfaded is the best.
Okay. Crossfaded is a great term to introduce the audience to. We haven't had that one yet. I'm sensing potentially, depending on where this goes, it could be somewhere in the episode title, crossfaded. I don't know. We'll see, guys.
Do I have to take a shot so I'm crossfaded during the episode?
Stay tuned. I think you can do whatever you want during the episode. Yeah, because I mean, have you ever been too high to have sex where you're like, oh God, yeah.
The other night, I had like 2 drinks. We went to go see Pete Davidson at the Miami Improv, who is hilarious, by the way. And they gave us like a fishbowl drink, which was like 2.5 drinks in one. I chugged that shit, and then we took dabs after. I was spinning. I was throwing up. If I tried to have sex, I would throw up on the dick. It would not be a good time. I would probably shit on the dick too. Like, I don't even know. Would not recommend that to a friend.
Yeah, I mean, you have to know your limits, and I think it's hard, right? So for me, I'm always like hitting the Tito's fucking vodka, right? And I'm like doing double shots, and I'm like, it's been 30 minutes. We can do another double shot, whatever. So like that's my thing, and I always like try to ride the buzz. But if I try to do that with weed, fuck, I'm out. Like literally for me, anything more than one hit and I'm fucking fried to the point where it's like, this is not worth it. Like, get in the closet, right? So I will get in a janitor closet or a garbage room and just shut myself off. And I do remember there's been a couple instances in my lifetime. One was in high school where I was like really, really high with this girl, and we were like making out, clothes are coming off. We're in a dark, air-conditioned room. Ooh. I remember this, right? And we're getting it on, and I remember like trying to dirty talk, and I can't remember exactly what I said, but I said something about like her nipples, right? Like complimentary, and she's like, it gets deadly silent, and she's like, "What does that mean?" And it's just like worst buzzkill, right? So like, so like it totally like fucked me up. So like, I can barely order food when I'm high. So.
Damn, I had a friend back in college who was getting high for like the first time, and he went to go have sex with his girlfriend, and she was like, I want you to degrade me, daddy, like talk dirty to me. And he literally is like hitting it from the back, and he's like, yeah, you like that, you fucking retard? And just
he dropped the R word? Holy shit. Wow.
Which is so Boston.
In a Boston
I know
accent?
we're not supposed to say that. Oh yeah. Hard. No R in it.
Wow.
It's the tad.
Oh my God. Yeah. So how did that go? What did she say then? She's like,
they actually ended up married.
Oh wow. So it worked.
So she was probably hit a lot as a kid.
It sounds like it. It does. It does. And like sex on shrooms, I have no clue.
It's great.
So is it a lot of like body buzzy, like good shit, or is it like is the person turning into a Smurf while you're having sex with them, or what's going on?
I wish that would happen. No, I took shrooms and had sex, and you just feel very like tactile. Like things on your skin feel good. You're present in the moment, which is a lot of the issue with like women orgasming is they're not present, or like men orgasming, they're not in the moment. They're stressed about other things. So shrooms, you're here, you're now, and it allows you to just feel, which is so good.
Yeah. I mean, see, that makes so much sense. And I do feel like with microdosing, and they're good, like, I don't know, I think whoever is in charge of the government right now is like by 2024 is trying to like make it legal to buy microdoses or use microdoses for like anxiety, right? And I just think we all have anxiety, and as my show sort of ticks on through the weeks, we keep coming up against that anxiety piece with sex, and so this could be wonderful. Shrooms for anxiety, like to let you relax so you can fucking blow your load, because man, when you can't blow your load, it sucks so bad. It's the worst fucking thing. Or you can't blow a second or third. That's, I mean, come on,
That's rough. I mean, women have multiple orgasms, which is very nice. I feel bad for men that you guys are kind of like one and done for like 10 minutes before your dick kicks back in.
I can once in a while pull off a feat of imagination and have like a multiple orgasm thing, which is crazy, which is nice, and I think
holy shit.
I think a lot of that is mental too, because when you're turned on, and there's no fighting it, right? But like I've had sexual anxiety where I'm like, this is fucked. Like you're with somebody, or maybe you're by yourself and you're feeling like this anxiety, and you're like, God damn it, what the fuck? Why can't I come? Right? And so if we're gonna microdose to get rid of that helps everyone. And I
think we should make it legal.
Just everywhere, right?
I completely agree.
Like
they have a nasal spray, I think, coming out in Colorado that's being tested by the FDA, and you microdose shrooms. I wonder if they could do that for your vagina, and you just do a little squirt up there and see what happens.
Yeah. Well, do you think that with women, I feel like most women who have trouble orgasming, and again, like who the fuck am I, some guy with a penis, but in my experience, right? It's just like women can't let go enough to have an orgasm. They don't feel comfortable enough. They feel like, because a couple thousand years of shame will do that. So
yeah, no, we're in our heads. I definitely have struggled with that in the past, but I've also had great partners who have like got me out of that and tied me down and made me come like 20 times in a session.
Yeah.
So, you win some, you lose some.
Well, that one sounds like a winner. Let's talk more about that. So,
yes.
Okay. So how did you arrive there? Right. With tie me down, daddy, make me come, whatever. Like, was it your idea, his idea, something, both, everyone's ideas? Were there drugs involved? Tell me the whole story.
Okay. I feel like I was sexualized from a young age just because I had boobs when I was like 8. Like D's, which is bad. So
which is bad.
It's not good.
I can only imagine.
I was getting like sexualized by men and getting groomed on the internet. So I've always been very sexual. And I remember being on Omegle as like a 12-year-old, which is horrible. And having men like tell me what to do to myself, like over video chat. So I've always been very like into being submissive and like, you tell me what to do and I just get to have fun. So when I met somebody, and I've never had consent talks, which is horrible, horrible. I really recommend consent talks, but I would have people like just like choke me and smack me around. I was like, I like this. I did have a talk with my ex where I was like, I want you to degrade me. And he degraded me. And then I started crying because what he was saying sounded like what my mom used to say to me.
Wow.
And it triggered me. And after that, we had to have a talk where I was like, okay, you can't say certain things. And now I know that about myself. But we were very like, my first serious relationship was, we were very open sexually. We were very into each other. We were open to trying anything. And he was like a pleaser. He would have fun pleasing me and he enjoyed making me come as much as he could. So he would like tie me down and just fuck my shit up, dude. It was great.
Yeah, I feel like when you're submissive, it sounds like there's nothing better. And me like being a dominant person, like that's all we give a shit about is like tying you down, forcing you to come as many times as possible till you're begging. Like that's the whole the whole shtick. It's
great.
Perfect match.
That's how I learned I like to be edged, is because of him.
Nice. So do you think, going back to some of the fucking abuse that you took, how do you think that formed or like played into your sexuality? Like, because I mean, when you're that young, you don't know what you like, but there's like hints, right? So did that stuff like older pervy dudes on the internet like trying to fucking tell you, were you like, oh wow, this guy's an asshole, but I kind of like it? Or how did that play into what you like now?
I think it all ties in. I have a joke that I'm working on. So excuse me if it's not funny, but there's something there, there's something there. But my mom was very abusive and she used to like tell me that I was a whore and like hit me. And now I like being told that I'm a whore and being hit in bed. So I wonder if the shit we go through as a child and adolescent contribute to what we like as an adult. I also think like that was the unhealed part of me where I wasn't going to therapy and I wasn't trying to work through any of that shit and heal my PTSD. And now that have been more actively doing that for years, I don't like as much of the crazy shit. Like I'm still definitely very submissive, but I don't know if I like being smacked in the face all the time now. That can be like, once a month. It doesn't have to be every time we have sex.
Yeah, I would imagine the more, and I think that's sort of like the interesting part of that is like, as you do heal, then does that become like entertainment for you? Does it, because it's very interesting to think about how someone is abused and then how later that presents itself. And I've heard so many different theories. I've had some really great like doctors and sex therapists and actual like just therapists, authors like on this show, and there's so many different varying but kind of similar explanations. Some people say like, well, the part of the brain that like pain and suffering comes from, that's where pleasure comes from as well. So that's like really dark and really cool and really interesting. And then it's like, well, when you can go through some of the same things, whether it's being tied down or called a whore or slapped around or spit on or whatever, right? When you go through those things that traumatized you, but then now you kind of have control over it, you say stop, you say go, that's kind of a fucking high too.
Yeah, absolutely. I also think trauma, I'm obviously not a doctor, but it
You're not a doctor?
reprograms. I know, it's a shocker.
God damn it.
Sorry, I was going to try to give you medical advice. No, but it reprograms your brain. So I think like all of those theories have merit, and maybe it's a combination of all of the above for me personally.
No, I think it sounds like you're in an incredibly healthy place with it. And obviously like doing research on you, watching your content, the podcast content, having you on the show now, like you have this really cool confidence where you're honest and you can talk about all these things, but like you do it in your own way. You know, you're getting high. It's
Thank
wonderful. So
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I love that. And that's exactly why I reached out to have you on the show, because I feel like having these conversations with someone who knows enough about who they are and also isn't afraid to show who they aren't is like my fucking favorite shit. So I love that.
Hell yeah.
How much of your sex life, your dating life, being tied down and made to come, like how much of that is finding its way into your stand-up?
Okay, so here's what's interesting. I actually was celibate for 2 years very recently. I got out of a long-term relationship, so I wasn't having sex for the majority of the time we've been having the podcast. So my stand-up is not as much about my sex life as it is about like just what goes on during the day or like my childhood. I have a joke about like cocaine sharks because they discovered that sharks were eating cocaine off the coast of Florida. So just like finding the humor in every day is kind of what I think comedy is about. And because I do OnlyFans, I always get pegged as like a very sexual person, and like comedians have like called me a whore and stuff like that. Just rude shit. So I've been kind of steering away from talking about sex in my stand-up and just trying to make it more authentic to who I am.
Yeah, no, I think that's amazing. Do you want to name drop these people? Who called you a whore? And why? And wait, are they men though? Are they men?
It's a man.
Of course it's a man. Of course it's a man.
I was wearing like a low cut top, and he was like, "Wow, you really look like a whore today." What did he say? He was like, "You're really like slutting it up today. Don't you want them to focus on your comedy and not your tits?" And then he like walked away, and he came back, and he was looking at my boobs, and he was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I couldn't help it." And I was like, "You're a fucking idiot."
Yeah, do you check in with your fucking sponsor today, moron? What the fuck? Like what? I mean, how could anybody have that? Okay, granted, like I get it, right? You're trying to be edgy and funny, blah 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 blah. But you know, some of that shit is like total lack of self-control. What is this? The fucking late 70s? Joan Rivers backstage being harassed? Like, what the fuck? Why? Of all things to say and do, and that's what gets me is like, you know, I'm hosting and running a show called Sex Party, so.
Which I love.
Thank you so much. It means a lot coming from you, by the way. And
stop it.
And it's like, I'm being serious. And you know, the some of these motherfuckers in the DMs, right? I don't know if they just can't read or what, but they're like, I want to be invited to the party. Answer me.
Like they're trying to fuck you.
But I'm like, I don't think they realize that it's like they think that maybe the guests are like, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but there's hundreds of these fucking guys.
So you get a lot of DMs that are crazy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
You and me both, brother.
I get fucking crazy DMs. I also get like really shitty comments. Like the other half of it is the dudes, they just really don't like me, which I'm used to because I've just been like fucking the nightclub kid and like whatever. So I'm like used to that. Okay. I don't mind that at all. I actually like use the hatred. Just to
hate fuels you.
Well, I'll make content out of it, right? Like I'll like take a screenshot. Yeah. I'll say something like whatever back. And I'll put it out. But it's like it's amazing to me that with the guy who's like talking about your boobs and trying to be funny, and then these guys that are like, answer me, where's the party? I need my dick sucked or whatever, right? Like there's no where's the self-control? Did you do like hello, you know?
Not just self-control, fucking reading comprehension, bro. Like, this is not an orgy. This is a podcast.
Right. Yeah. It's not an orgy yet. That's in season 7. So, like, just
I can't
chill
wait.
The fuck out. And none of those people are
Sign
invited.
me up.
They're not invited. Like, we need tell them it's on a boat and then push the boat out to and then just blow it up. That's where I'm at with this.
We just make them a funeral pyre. We're like, no, it's a yacht, babe. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It just goes up in flames.
Rub that gasoline all over you. It's a kink, I promise.
I think I could convince somebody to do that.
Oh yeah,
very easily.
Yeah, no, I bet. You're the smiley face killer. No,
don't tempt me with a good time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's super interesting that you say that you were celibate for 2 years, and then you know, you have an OnlyFans, so like people tend to like try to sexualize you in the comedy world, and here you are like making, you know, like everyday stuff funny. Because does it get any funnier than what we're all going through every fucking day?
No, it really doesn't. Like, shit will happen to me and I'll be like, that was good. You got me, dude. Whoever's up there, you fucking got me.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much content, I guess you would call it, to work with. I mean, you turn on
out of everything.
Yeah, the internet, like everyone's losing their mind. You have like grown men like boycotting Barbie. I mean, what are your feelings on that?
Why the fuck are you boycotting Barbie? That's stupid as shit. It was such a cute movie. I don't think anything about it was like anti-men. They're fucking ridiculous. Just because one movie isn't for you, you're going to boycott it. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I was in the Barbie movie. I took my girlfriend to see it.
No way.
And we were watching it, and like halfway through, I'm like, man, it would suck to be a Ken, right? And I'm like, man, they really don't like men. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm in a fucking Barbie movie, of course. And then I'm like, this is great, you know? And it was really brilliant. It was really like very smart, right? Like they hit every single level of like the pop culture, from her creation to like everybody talking shit, right?
It was so good.
Nailed it. Ryan Gosling nailed it. I think they even probably used too much of him.
I had doubts about Ryan Gosling as Ken. He was perfect for the role. I see the vision now. I understand it. And chef's kiss.
Yeah. Yeah. And my point is that, you know, if you're a man like me and you go into a Barbie movie and you're like, man, they're treating these guys like, realize you're in a Barbie movie, dumb shit, right? Like, calm the fuck down and realize you're watching a fucking movie about Barbies. And it's like,
also have some self accountability. I think whenever you don't like something in somebody else, it's because it's a mirror of what's inside of you.
Yeah.
So I don't like something about somebody. Do I do that shit? And I'm noticing it in them. And how can I adjust my behavior? So if you're not liking Ken, how can you not be a Ken? Make yourself not the asshole in like your Barbie's life. It's really that simple.
Yeah. And I thought to myself, damn, like, this is how we treat women. This sucks. Like, you know, I mean, I had that thought too. So if you're not having those thoughts in Barbie, you're in the wrong movie. You're just in the wrong movie.
Yeah.
Go see Fast and Furious 95. Like, just.
Yeah, go see Oppenheimer.
Yeah,
jerk off to fucking John Wick. Whatever makes you happy, dude.
I could actually see someone drink.
It's actually me. I'm in the audience with my vibrator. John Wick's really hot. There's something about a man who can save a dog. I'm like, I'll give you my pussy to save. You're welcome.
Yeah, just like keep killing. Just keep killing, please. My batteries are gonna run out, right?
It's so hot.
Yeah, no, that does seem like a very American thing to jerk off to. It's just like like right when the action thing starts, it's like they should make porn for that. Or, you know, those countdown videos that people make, like, and they should just like, here's a John Wick scene. He's gonna kill 112 people and go. Right? You have 3.5 minutes to bust nuts. Go. That should be.
He counts down from 10, and then at the last second, he just uppercuts somebody in the face, and that's when I just come everywhere.
Yeah. In the theater, and you have to like get in and out before you get arrested.
That's even hotter.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors to John Wick. I think we just invented a new genre of porn. John Wick porn.
This could be a business idea.
I think it's great. I think we have little booths that go in. We don't show porn. We just show the massive death scenes in John Wick movies. People masturbate.
God.
So, yeah. Yeah.
It's not the deaths. It's the fact that he can cause the deaths that's so hot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and he's so efficient. You know, like
I love an efficient man.
Yeah. I think the world needs more efficient men, right?
Amen. Amen.
Okay, so the OnlyFans stuff, right? So at one point, you mentioned being celibate for 2 years. You're doing stand-up comedy. You're doing the podcast. The podcast is fucking hilarious. You guys are a great match. You've actually had like a lot of really big guests, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
Oh my God. Yeah. It looks like it's been crazy, right? You're in Miami. It's one of the sexiest cities, you know. Unfortunately, it's in the state of Florida, but it's still a sexy city. We love Miami. Shout out to Miami.
Yes, we do.
So
I'd actually never been to Florida before I moved down here.
Yeah.
And I came here and I was like, wow, this is great. I'm never leaving.
Yeah. So much neon, so much who would ever leave, right? Because it is its own little citadel, right? You don't get all the Floridian trailer park party, whatever. There's some of it, but not,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
No, you get the tourists. Everyone says Miami's a sexy city. I haven't seen a lot of sexy men here. I don't know if I'm looking in the wrong spots. Whenever I go into the clubs, I'm always the tallest bitch in there, and I'm only 5'4". And I'm like, why am I taller than all of the men? This is horrible. Get me out of here.
Wow. Well, what clubs are you going? Where are you going?
I love going to Dirty Rabbit, but it's like a Spanish dance bar. So I wonder if, I don't know, maybe I need to go to Brickell. Are there taller people in Brickell?
Yeah, it's
Fort Lauderdale. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you're definitely asking the wrong guy, but it does seem very strange. Although, if you have money and you're a short gentleman, your destination would always be Miami, I would imagine, because you're like,
that's very true.
I have money, women, cocaine, all the things, neon. We covered that.
That's all you need. That's all you need.
So maybe like the shorties, the short men rather down there, right? Like they're just they're multiplying because hey, why not?
Listen, I'm all for short kings. I am. I just would have to meet a short king and like his personality before, you know?
Yeah, do you feel like there's a lot of overcompensation happening?
So much. Even the dudes with big dicks are overcompensating in Miami.
Yeah.
Which is just sad.
That is really sad, actually. Like, bro, you're halfway home. What are you doing?
You have it made. You have a big dick. Like, that's all you need to do.
Yeah. Well, and then and in their mind, they're like, I need to have shin replacement surgery to boost me up 6 inches. And it's like, no, you don't. Just chill out.
No.
You're in Miami. You have a big penis. Just roll with it. Okay. That's 2 of 3 you can pass through.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. I don't know. Have you ever fucked somebody and then you're like, damn, that was my daddy issues right there? Well, maybe not for you.
Yeah, definitely not for me, but I understand the concept very well because I feel like I have had sex with a lot of women who are cognizant of their daddy, are very vocal about their daddy issues, which is the fucking best, right? And you could always utilize that and work with that. It's very, I think daddy issues are very sexy.
Daddy issues make for great sex. Mommy issues make for even greater sex. And if they got the what is it, the double whammy?
Oh yeah,
it's game over.
Just like hands down parental problems. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think mommy issues are rare though, right? I mean, well, let's talk about mommy issues, right?
Let's talk about mommy issues.
How often are you seeing men, right, with like serious mommy issues?
I think the last guy I fucked had serious mommy issues.
And what were they specifically? Like, what are we talking?
His mom was like abusive, very similar upbringing to mine, where she was abusive, mentally ill, maybe had some substance abuse issues. And I think that that leads to a lot of insecurities. Like when you're young and you are neglected in any type of way, you don't have that connection to your caretaker that you need in order to form, secure bonds. And if you don't have those secure bonds with somebody else growing up, you don't have them with yourself. So I think like that can lead to a lot of issues. And I've been seeing that in myself. And, just because I'm cognizant and aware of my mommy and daddy issues doesn't mean that they also don't take me for a spin sometimes. And I'm like, oh, yep, nope, those are them. Those are them.
There they are again, popping up in the grocery store around certain crackers. Yeah, no, I totally relate. I definitely have a set or two of daddy issues myself, but like as a male, they just present differently. I'm also, I think, lucky enough to be able to be like, oh, well, my dad and then subsequently my stepfather were just like insecure, like they're like dumb. I don't have to really take responsibility for that. I think is like a big thing.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing to have reached that point.
Yeah.
Where you're like, you know what? That doesn't have anything to do with me. It all has to do with them. And yeah, that's beautiful. One day I hope to get there.
I mean, I think that the Russian guys in my brain, waiting down the hallway, or the SWAT team coming through the window, probably has to do with like, being abused as a kid. Sure, right? Because you never know where it's.
You get hit a lot by Russians?
Where it's coming from. Well, I think what happened was I got hit a lot as a kid, and then as an adult, I just watched like a lot of like 24. So it's like the Russians are intermixing with the abuse, and so here we are. But like, I think for me, in a weird way, I think there was a moment, and it was like a subconscious, maybe conscious moment, where I had to like decide, right? Like, if I don't just write these daddies off, right, as stepdad,
your Russian daddies,
right? If I don't write my Russian daddies off as just like losers who couldn't hack it, then I'm gonna go down with that ship, right? And they suck, and it's gonna suck, and it's gonna hurt. But you know what? Like, fuck them. And so like that's sort of, I think.
I love that mentality.
I think
I love that mentality.
I think it's just a pure survival thing. I think at a certain point, it's either you become this thing that they're screaming at you, or you're like, nah, bro, have another cheese sandwich and get the fuck out of my way. That
was always my fear, was that I would grow up to be like my mom. I think breaking the cycles of abuse, because she was abused by her parents, so I'm sure we're abused by their parents. And it keeps going on throughout the generations, and you're inheriting all of this trauma from them. And you could pass it on, or you could say, fuck it, and decide to live your life not under their influence or under their narrative, and move on. And I think I'm there with my mom. So you know what? Baby steps.
Yeah. Cut those abusive Russians out. Jeez. Okay. Well, I mean,
sorry, we keep getting dark.
I love it, actually. I think this episode's a great mix of light and dark, and fuck, like, you're a blast. So let's continue on.
Hell yeah. Thank you. I'm having a great time.
So, okay. Well, it is a party.
Where's the orgy?
The orgy is arriving in 15. But so, okay, the OnlyFans piece of what you do, where did that come in, right? Was that during the pandemic too? Was it before? Was it after? Was it during the celibacy thing? Tell me all of this stuff, because this OnlyFans piece, I think, is so much of a bigger deal in the culture we're in, and I just like, I love it because it's like women in particular can just like fucking cash in, like really cash in. And I think it's like really funny to like watch some of these people like try to contort themselves to be like, that's wrong, and then they've got 20 subscriptions and whatever. So I just want to hear your OnlyFans story.
So when I moved in with my best friend, she had started an OnlyFans. So I got to see her do it for a while. I did it a little bit during the pandemic, but I was working at a law firm. as an office manager and paralegal. So I was like, oh, I have to keep it secret, whatever. I ended up extremely suicidal because of my boss, and I went to the ER because I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to exist. And they admitted me to like an outpatient, sorry. And so I quit my job and started OnlyFans full throttle. So I got to see her do it. I did it low key, and then I went full in and started doing like content trips together. We would travel to like LA and Palm Springs and Vegas and Aspen and do a bunch of like, we'd meet up with like our OnlyFans friends and make connections and work together, take sexy pics. And so I've been doing OnlyFans for 2 years now. And I'm definitely very appreciative of it. It's because of OnlyFans that I got to move to Miami and that we did the podcast. And so OnlyFans has definitely changed my life, which is crazy. And you hear so many of those stories. Every person I meet pretty much who does OnlyFans is like, yeah, it has completely changed the entire game for me, which, you know, is beautiful to see in a society that stigmatizes like women's sexuality. I know there's a whole debate about whether it's actually empowering, whatever. I am grateful for it. I don't always want to be doing sex work, but I'm very grateful, and it got me to where I am today. So, you know,
Yeah, no.
it's not all bad.
No, it's a fucking success story for sure. I want to jump back to your boss making, you harming yourself because of your, if you don't want to talk about it, you can be like, skip.
No. I actually had a friend recently who reached out to like a group chat that I'm in, and he was like, my friend is thinking of hurting herself. Can you please message her? I don't know this girl. As though she was your sister, as though she were your niece. And I reached out to her and I was like, hey, I've been in your shoes. 2.5 years ago, I was in the ER because I wanted to die. I just want you to know it gets better. And if you reach out for help, like there is help out there. And I think it's super important. I was just breaking up with somebody who I'd been with for like 4 years. We had a very toxic relationship. My boss was extremely abusive and like harassing me. And I was just like at the end of my rope back in, I think, 2021. And I called my dad and I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to exist. So he came and drove like an hour, picked me up, took me to the ER. This was during COVID, so he couldn't come in with me. But I went in actually to the same emergency room that when I was 12, I went in for like a suicide attempt. So, you know, full circle moment. But I went in and I got really bad vibes from the psychiatrist on staff. Like it seemed like he wanted to like give me drugs and like dope me up and commit me. And I was like, I know where I'm at. I've been in therapy since I was 8. I'm telling you, I don't want to exist, but I don't have a plan. I'm not going to harm myself. I need help though. And I ended up leaving the ER after like 8 hours because I was like, this dude's not going to do anything for me. So I left. I called my therapist the next morning at 9 a.m. and I was like, I need help. And she immediately like got me into an outpatient program at the McLean Hospital, which is a great mental health facility in Boston. And I did that for about 2 weeks while I was like on leave from my job. And I am very appreciative of the privilege that I have and like having health insurance and being able to gain access to all of those mental health facilities that I know a lot of people don't. And it was very helpful for me to be able to have that time to focus on my mental health. And that kind of springboarded me into doing OnlyFans because I was like, I wanted to die because of this. And that's not okay. I need to be doing what I want to be doing, what I love doing, and I need to be able to find passion in my life again. So that was definitely a tough time. But about a year later, I got a message and it was like, Emily, I met you at the emergency room at Tufts in Boston. I was one of your like nurses and I followed you on social media because you talked about the podcast while you were in the hospital. And she was like, it has been so beautiful watching you grow and watching you thrive and move to Miami and like being happier. And I just wanted to let you know that I'm so grateful you came in and that you got help. and that I'm rooting for you. And I got that message and I literally cried. I was like, wow, that's really sweet that like you don't think about how much the effect that has on healthcare workers where they're seeing people who are at their lowest. So I'm sure that was very nice for her to be able to see like a successful story come out of her hospital. But I have that screenshot saved because it shows me like how far I've come. And it reminds me that I don't ever want to get back to that place again.
Well, first of all, congratulations, because that's amazing, and that's not an easy feat. And to be
Thank
able
you.
to recognize that you need help and to call out for it, but then also to be like, "No, this guy's a fucking idiot. I don't want to deal with that. We're doing it this way." So, congratulations on all of that.
Thank you.
You did touch on it a little bit, but I mean, what advice would you give to someone who is depressed, who is thinking about hurting themselves?
Depression makes you do things that help depression. It's kind of like cancer, like the cells multiply. Depression forces you to do things that worsens your depression. Like you want to stay in bed all day. You don't want to work out. You don't want to eat. You don't want to drink properly. So I think I'm a big believer in reparenting yourself, in talking to yourself as though you're talking to like your inner 13-year-old or your inner 5-year-old. Just being like, hey, those thoughts are your parents' thoughts. They're not your thoughts. You're okay. You're safe. Go drink a bottle of water. Maybe do a couple of push-ups, like get out of bed, get out in the sun. If it's hard for you to work out, go for a walk to the corner store and reward yourself with a bottle of water. Like give yourself a treat, Pavlov yourself. So a lot of my coping mechanisms with depression are forcing myself to do what I don't want to do. I also am a big believer in therapy. So when I notice myself slipping back into bad habits, that's when I'm like, all right, it's time to go back and talk to somebody and have like that weekly person I can get my feelings out. I'm a big believer in therapy. I'm a big believer in meditation and calming your mind. Anxiety, depression, ADHD, for me, they're a cycle. They all feed into one another and make each other worse. So if I can break the cycle of anxiety, maybe my depression doesn't get as bad. So my ADHD doesn't get as bad. So finding ways to disrupt what my chemicals in my brain want me to do has been extremely integral to me improving.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. That's beautiful, and like, thank you so much for going there, because I think that's huge, and we're all going through something, and sometimes it's harder to recognize and than
It's so hard.
than normal. And so I thank you for fucking bringing it and being
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry it wasn't as funny this episode.
Well, it's not over yet, because you did say right now, but honestly, you said that you found your passion in OnlyFans, and so I think that's incredible too, because OnlyFans is out here saving people's financial lives, their fucking spiritual lives. They're meeting friends. It is sex work, I think, on a scale that is, far more friendly than, being in an alleyway in 1800s London. So come on, guys, like, let's fucking, so, so
now we get back into Jack the Ripper. We're right back at serial killers.
Yeah, so there's, yeah. So, okay, but what kind of things can people expect with OnlyFans? And also too, I want to make it clear for people, because people have expectations or lack thereof of what they want to do. So like, I'm wondering, talking to maybe somebody who is on the fence, and I do this with all of my OnlyFans guests.
Yep.
Were you nervous to start? What kind of things are you doing over there now? And if you want to be successful on OnlyFans and just do OnlyFans and podcasting, which I'm assuming that's what you do. Okay, amazing. How do they do it?
I think it's a lot of work. You have to market yourself. If I were giving advice to somebody, first I would make sure that they know all the pitfalls. Your parents could find out about it. They could have their photos or your videos sent to your parents. People might try to find your location and dox you. There are a lot of negative drawbacks. Obviously, if you want a career with children or in the public eye in terms of like politics, it may be harder to get into those fields if you have an OnlyFans. So I would really consider what you want to do long term to see if OnlyFans is right for you. I would never tell somebody to just jump into it without thinking. So I think that's super important. And then being able to market yourself. TikTok is huge for OnlyFans, making sure that you're constantly promoting yourself, going on podcasts, finding ways to be creative and still show people that you're hot or whatever to get traffic to your OnlyFans. Me personally, I think there's a wide range of what people do on OnlyFans. I don't have sex on OnlyFans. I don't like fuck myself on OnlyFans. Sorry, I have the hiccups. I do a lot of talking. I'll do like jerk off instruction videos like we talked about with John Wick. So maybe I should add that one to my repertoire. People do like dildo blowjob videos, or people will masturbate. I have a lot of friends who will do full on like porn and sex on OnlyFans. And I have friends who only take like lewd photos where their body's not even out. So there's a wide range, and finding your audience is super important. Totally lost my train of thought. I feel like the weed just kicked in 40 minutes later.
No, I think it's great.
But yeah, not overstepping your boundaries. So knowing what you want to do on there and sticking with that. When I started, and was going on these content trips, it's easy to get lost in that world, in the sex work industry. It's extremely easy because everybody's doing it. You don't feel ostracized. But then I realized slowly that I was overstepping my boundaries. Like maybe I was like, I never did too much, but I still felt like I overstepped a little bit. Like maybe my friend was like feeling up on my boobs, and I was like, I wouldn't do that, that's not something I feel comfortable doing. So I've scaled back in terms of what I do. I did a video with a friend where she like dripped hot candle wax all over my body, and we were in like lingerie. So there's a lot that you can do that doesn't have to be sex. And for you to have those boundaries set and firm with yourself is super important, because it is very easy to get lost in it. I'm talking very negatively about it.
I don't think so.
I just want people to be aware of what's going on. Because there are absolutely beautiful things that have come out of OnlyFans. Because of OnlyFans, I was able to be so much more creative in my business life, in my personal life. I think that's why like comedy has come easier, because making content, creating content opens up your brain in a way that a 9-to-5 job that I was working kept shut. So being allowed the freedom to be creative is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I'm very grateful for that.
No, that's incredible. And I think that's incredible advice to especially for OnlyFans, to know your boundaries and stick to them. And if you feel them stretching naturally, great. They're stretching naturally, but don't. And you're right, like on content trips, because I've heard stories and seen things and whatever, and it's like, hey, take this pill, get in the jacuzzi, and then the next thing you know, it's like, whoa, we're gonna film it, and then it's like, oh, I guess I'm okay with this, and then 2 days later, it's like, shit,
yep, yes,
damn it, I had sex with my cousin on OnlyFans, fuck, again, god damn it. And you did mention that you were high, right? And offline, you're like, hey, if I get really high, ask me this to tell the story about the craziest thing that's ever happened to you when you were having sex. So so I want to ask you that story here at the end of the episode, because I feel like it's a banger way to go out.
I love it. Okay, so I was very into like kind of like BDSM type sex. And I had a boyfriend who was super big, super buff, like linebacker built, 6-foot dude. And I was tiny back then. I weighed maybe 115 soaking wet. And so I was on my knees. I was giving him head, but it was Massachusetts. So it was wicked cold. And I had a scarf and like coat on. I don't know why we were doing that. with a coat on, but whatever. And I finished giving him head and he was like, all right, I want to fuck you. And I was like, okay, daddy. And he gets behind me and picks me up by the scarf around my neck. And I was like, oh, that's so hot. He picks me up. I don't remember anything after. What he said is I pass out because he got like my carotid or whatever. He got my air supply. I pass out. He lays me down on the floor and I'm like jerking and twitching. He's like, she's having a seizure. And then I suddenly go completely limp. And he was like, what did I just kill? And he's black and I'm white. He's like, I just killed this white girl. Oh my God, I'm going to prison for life. It's over for me. And I just sit up. I'm like, hey, what's going on? And he was like, I thought you were dead.
Wow.
And then we had sex after. And it was really good.
Amazing. Emily Wade, thank you so much for being on Sex Party and ending it with a literal bang. We love that. Let's tell these party going people where they can find you, where they can find your OnlyFans, that they can listen to the podcast, they can download all the episodes, they can follow you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for having me. This was a great conversation. You can find Two Girls, One Blunt podcast at Two Girls, One Blunt pod on pretty much all platforms, except for TikTok is at 2girls1BL_NT pod because TikTok tried to take us down for having the word blunt. And we are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, pretty much anywhere you can stream podcasts. We're very funny, so you should check us out. You can find my OnlyFans at onlyfans.com/Emily Chestnut, and my Instagram and TikTok are at LoudEmily.
Love it. Thank you so much for being here. I have a feeling that you will be back again multiple times. So they can look forward to that. But thank you so much for being here with me.
This was great. Thank you.
Yeah, I had a fucking blast. Big thank you to my guest, Emily Wade, for being on the show with me this week. She's awesome. Go check out everything she's doing. Go check out her podcast. If you guys are loving guests like Emily, if you want to see Emily again, if you're just hanging around, you're drinking, you're having a good time, you're enjoying these episodes, and you'd like to show that enjoyment, that love, that appreciation, that desire for more Sex Party. There's a couple different ways you can do that. If you're listening on platforms like Apple and Spotify, you can subscribe to the show. That is the number one most important thing you could do. You never miss an episode that way. You could leave a rating. You could leave a review. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, I love you. I see you. If you're watching on YouTube, you could subscribe to the channel. You could leave a comment. You could like the video. You could like all the videos. As always, you guys can reach out to me in the DMs on Instagram, even though Instagram is kind of shit lately. And as always, I will see you right back here next week.
Thanks for listening. The party continues next week. Click subscribe and let's make this a regular thing. Follow the show on Instagram and Twitter at Sex Party FM. Follow Dustin at Dustin Rybka.